Hello and welcome to another edition of another book review. This week I will be reviewing Lightning by Dean Koontz. I'll talk very briefly about the author, go into a review of the book. I will be having some spoilers for this book. It's very difficult to talk about without spoiling anything, so I will make a note of that in the description of the video as well, that there will be spoilers. I'll go into what I liked about the book, what I didn't like about the book, who I'd recommend the book to, and finish off with what I will be reading for next time. I think at the beginning I'll have a very quick non-spoiler section before going into spoilers. Dean Koontz is a very prolific author, has been writing since the late 60s, has published over 100 novels, has had his stuff adapted into many movies. He's probably one of the top 10 most highly paid authors in the world. This book, to give you a non-spoiler overview of the book, is about a woman named Laura Shane, who we learn throughout the book has something of a guardian angel. So there's a man who comes to protect her at various points in her life where she is in danger. The titular lightning comes from the fact that whenever he appears, there's lightning and thunder in the atmosphere, and so it serves as something of an omen of his coming. So the book is set in 1988 and concerns this woman, Laura, who's a writer, and this kind of guardian angel who watches over her at points in her life where she is in danger. It's a thriller. It's something of a sci-fi thriller. I think at this point I will be doing spoilers, so if you haven't read the book, feel free to come back to the video once you have. So spoilers in 3, 2, 1. From this point forward, I will be spoiling the book. But before I do that, let me go into what I liked about the book. The book does involve time travel, and I think the time travel mechanics in this book are probably as laid out as clearly as anything I've read involving time travel. They are at times a little confusing, but in terms of if time travel was a real thing, how one would avoid paradoxes and things of that nature, I thought that was handled really well in this book. I think Dean Koontz has a way of describing things. The imagery that he has in his novel are very evocative and he has a kind of workmanlike use of language, but it makes everything kind of easy to picture in the mind's eye. At least for me, it was. Noticed that was something I noticed right off the bat. The first chapter is set in the 1950s involving a doctor on the night of a winter storm. I thought that whole scene did a really good job of setting the tone of the book, the mood of the book, the characters. I think for a thriller, there are definitely some very tense moments in the book, and I think he handles those things really well as he cuts back and forth between two different chapters, different sets of characters. I thought that the tension there was really well done. The book is a very quick read. I read this in like 2 or 3 days, which is something you always want in a thriller, something that's very propulsive that keeps you moving. So I thought all that was done really well. If there were some things I didn't like as much, I thought that because this is a spoiler video, I think I can talk about this pretty openly, but the kind of main reason for Stefan, we learn, is a time traveler. He's actually not a time traveler from the future. He's a time traveler from the past. He is a member of the SS in Nazi Germany and has been a member of a secret Nazi project in order to find ways to, by going into the future, find ways in the future where they can avert what ends up happening, which is that the Germans lose the war, and one of his roles is working at this Institute for Time Travel that basically allows them to go into the future to find artifacts and information to try to change the tide of the war and ultimately have success for Germany, which includes kind of nuclear weapons and nuclear weapon research and things of that nature. So the reason for him looking after Laura really doesn't have anything to do with the war, doesn't really have anything to do with the cause. It really is just he gets kind of infatuated with her by seeing her in a window once, and you're like, well, if this was like someone who was like 19 or 20, I guess that makes sense. But given the fact that this man risked his life multiple times over multiple missions in order to try to impress someone who he kind of doesn't even know and has no real connection to, I thought was kind of far-fetched given the nature of the work that he's doing. I think the ending itself was pretty pat. There's nothing necessarily wrong with the ending. I just thought it was kind of like ho-hum and kind of standard. The dialogue at times, especially the dialogue with the children characters, I thought felt unrealistic, and I thought kind of pulled me out of the story at times. And then there's one kind of side character who I don't know if she's supposed to be Joan Rivers, but she's like a Joan Rivers-esque character, and I found her to be a little too over the top and kind of annoying. Overall, I really enjoyed the book. From a writer's perspective, I thought that, like I said, the handling of the time travel mechanics in this, I think, were really well done. I think from an imagery standpoint, he does a good job. This is the first of his book that I've read. Not really necessarily my favorite genre, kind of the thriller, but I thought he did a good job of using imagery to where you could follow exactly what was happening. I think he had a really firm grasp of that. I think overall, I think there were some interesting ideas in here. Yeah, so I definitely enjoyed it overall. I thought that the negatives did not necessarily outweigh the positives. I wish that the reason for the time traveler to go back, to move forward in time, had more to do with maybe the war effort. The central mystery of the book is really more of, why is this character risking life and limb to protect this woman who's a complete stranger to him? And the underlying reason for that is kind of dumb. If it had been something tied to the war effort, I think it would have been more impactful. And overall, it becomes kind of like, well, she was really attracted to him. Really attractive to him and becomes smitten with her, which, while understandable to some degree, another degree, it's like, well, you're in your mid-30s, and it just seems really, it struck me as odd, I guess I'll just put it that way. But that is Dean Koontz Lightning. If you're interested at all in kind of reading a fun thriller, but also learning something about kind of different ways to do time travel mechanics and do time travel mechanics, in my opinion, really well, I think this is a good book. I think, like I said, he has a lot of imagery. He uses language to evoke imagery very powerfully in the book. And if you're someone who maybe struggles with that, I think that may be something to check out as well. So that is Dean Koontz Lightning. And next time I'm going to be reading So We Read On by Maureen Corrigan. Until next time, please like the channel. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll have my Twitter link in the comment section below. Until next time, bye.